In this video, we're going to talk about something many people over 70 face but rarely discuss: why staying single at this stage of life can actually be the best decision you ever make. Society often tells us that happiness means being in a relationship, but the truth is different when we get older. At this age, peace, independence, and stability matter more than anything else. I'm going to share 7 powerful reasons why being single after 70 is not a failure, but a smart and life-saving choice. These reasons come from real stories and experiences, and they may give you a new way of looking at your own situation. Before we start, I'd love to know, where are you watching from today? Just drop your state or city in the comments below. Reason 1: Emotional stress from conflict. When we're younger, disagreements in relationships feel easier to handle. You argue, maybe you slam a door, but by the next morning, things usually settle. But after 70, it doesn't work the same way. Small arguments that used to roll off our shoulders now sit heavy in both the mind and the body. Stress lingers, sleep becomes fragile, and even our health reacts differently. What feels like just a disagreement in your 40s can leave someone in their 70s lying awake at night, chest tight, replaying every word. Take Edith's story. She was 73 when she let herself fall into a new relationship after years of being on her own. In the beginning, it was sweet, dinners together, walks in the evening, someone to share the quiet moments with. But slowly, she noticed her peace slipping away. Her partner criticized how she spent her time, grew upset if she wanted space, and pushed her to be available on his terms. What had started as companionship became control. Edith told a friend later, "I didn't realize how much weight I was carrying until I left. That first night alone, I finally slept peacefully." Her words capture a truth many of us know but don't always say out loud. At this age, our nervous systems recover more slowly from stress. A sharp tone of voice, a lingering argument, or even just the tension in the room can leave lasting marks on our health. It's not weakness, it's simply how our bodies change with age. And when peace is disrupted regularly, the cost is too high. That's why many people in their 70s choose to remain single. Not because they can't find someone, but because they refuse to sacrifice their calm. At this stage, peace is worth more than constant negotiation. Imagine waking each morning knowing there's no storm waiting to build inside your chest, no one's temper to tiptoe around, no silent nights spent replaying conflict. That kind of peace is priceless. The lesson is clear: companionship that steals your calm is too costly. At 70 and beyond, your well-being is your greatest wealth. Protect it fiercely. Because no relationship, no matter how promising, is worth losing your health, your rest, and your spirit. Reason 2: Financial complications. Money is never just money after 70. It represents security, dignity, and the ability to live comfortably without fear of becoming a burden. Many older adults live on fixed incomes, carefully managed savings, pensions, or social security benefits. Every dollar is tied to stability, paying for medical care, covering living expenses, or ensuring there's something left for children and grandchildren. That's why relationships at this stage often bring financial risks that people don't talk about enough. Roger's story shows this clearly. At 68, he lost his wife and spent months grieving quietly. Later, he reconnected with an old friend from high school. Their bond was warm, and before long, she moved into his home. In the beginning, it felt like a blessing: dinners out, small trips, little luxuries that brought joy back into his life. But over time, Roger noticed his savings slipping away. His partner loved expensive things, expected them to split costs evenly, but somehow, her share rarely showed up. When Roger finally raised the issue, she grew defensive and upset. What started as companionship slowly turned into financial strain and resentment. This is a situation many seniors can relate to. At 40 or 50, there's still time to rebuild after financial mistakes. At 70, there isn't. Once savings are drained or benefits disrupted, it's almost impossible to recover. For example, remarrying can sometimes reduce or eliminate survivor benefits. Health insurance plans may shift. Wills and inheritance may become complicated, leaving family members divided or even bitter. These aren't just small inconveniences, they can reshape your entire future and the legacy you want to leave behind. That's why it isn't selfish to protect your finances at this age, it's wise. If you do choose companionship, it's important to keep financial lives separate, set clear agreements, and never sign documents or combine assets without professional advice. You worked hard for decades to earn what you have. You have every right to protect it. And for many, staying single is the simplest way to avoid these complications altogether. It gives you freedom to spend, save, or share as you choose, without fear of hidden debts or financial surprises. At this stage, money isn't about luxury. It's about freedom, independence, and peace of mind. And no relationship should take that away from you. Reason 3: Loss of routine and personal space. One of the greatest comforts in later life is routine. The quiet rhythm of your days, your morning cup of coffee, your favorite chair by the window, your afternoon nap, or your evening walk, these small habits are more than just things you do. They are the anchors that keep you steady. They give structure, peace, and even a sense of identity. And after 70, those routines are not small at all, they are what protect your emotional and physical health. Louise, Reason 4: Caregiving burden. Love in later life often begins with the hope of companionship, someone to share meals with, to laugh with, and to walk beside. But as the years pass, health changes are almost inevitable. What starts as a relationship built on joy can quickly shift into one built on responsibility, and sometimes even heavy caregiving. At 70 and beyond, this change can feel overwhelming. George's story shows how this happens. He was 76 when he met Ruth at a church gathering. She was lively, warm, and full of energy. They enjoyed each other's company and soon decided to live together. For a while, it was exactly what George had hoped for: dinners at home, neighborhood walks, and a sense of shared life. But within a year, Ruth's health began to decline. First, she needed a cane, then a walker, and soon George was helping her bathe, manage medications, and prepare meals. His days were no longer his own. Instead of enjoying retirement freely, he became a full-time caregiver almost overnight. He admitted quietly to a friend, "I love her, but I feel like my retirement slipped away." This isn't about being unkind. Caregiving is one of the hardest and most demanding roles anyone can take on. Studies show that caregivers often experience higher stress levels, increased risk of depression, and even physical health decline themselves. At 70 or 80, when your body already needs more rest and care, adding the responsibility of looking after another adult can drain your strength faster than you realize. Sleepless nights, skipped doctor's visits for yourself, and constant worry can take years off your life. Of course, caregiving can be an act of deep love, and for many couples, it is entered willingly. But the truth is, not everyone has the health, energy, or resources to carry that weight. And when a relationship shifts from companionship to full-time responsibility, it can rob you of the very freedom you hoped for in your later years. That's why many seniors choose independence instead. Staying single means you can focus on your own health, your own peace, and your own limited energy. It doesn't make you selfish, it makes you wise. Because at this stage of life, caring for yourself first may be the only way to truly enjoy the years you still have. Reason 5: Family tensions and inheritance issues. When you start a new relationship after 70, it doesn't just affect you, it affects your whole family. Children, grandchildren, and even extended relatives often have strong feelings about it. What feels like joy and a fresh start for you can sometimes feel like a threat to them. And this tension, left unspoken, can create cracks in relationships that have taken decades to build. Martha experienced this firsthand. At 66, she met a retired professor at her local book club. He was gentle, intelligent, and she felt alive again in his company. For the first time since losing her husband, she looked forward to her days. But when she told her 2 adult sons about him, the reaction wasn't what she expected. Instead of happiness, she was met with silence, then suspicion. They began questioning her decisions, her finances, her health choices, and even her long-term plans. Conversations that had once been warm turned tense. Within a year, Martha ended the relationship, not because her feelings changed, but because the strain with her sons became too heavy. Through tears, she admitted, "I never thought finding joy again would cost me the closeness of my children." This story isn't unusual. Adult children often worry that a new partner will change things, influence financial decisions, alter wills, or take attention away from the family. Sometimes those fears are exaggerated, but other times, they're real. Inheritance laws, remarriage, and shared assets can shift family legacies in ways you might not even realize. A partner may become legally entitled to part of your estate, even if that was never your intention. When that happens, children can be left shocked, divided, or even resentful long after you're gone. At this stage of life, family harmony matters more than many realize. Arguments over money or inheritance don't just cause short-term stress, they can break family bonds for generations. And for many older adults, preserving peace within the family is worth far more than entering a new relationship. That's why staying single can often be the simplest path. It allows you to keep financial matters clear, protect the legacy you've worked hard to build, and avoid the pain of family conflict. Because at 70 and beyond, the love you already have from your children and grandchildren may be the most important relationship of all. Reason 6. Reduced independence and freedom. One of the greatest rewards of reaching your 70s is freedom. After decades of raising families, working hard, and meeting other people's needs, these years are meant to be your time, a chance to live life on your own terms. Freedom at this stage isn't just about making choices. It's about dignity. It's about finally having control over your time, your plans, and your dreams. Walter understood this better than most. At 74, he retired with big plans. He wanted to travel by train across the country, visit old friends he hadn't seen in years, and spend weeks exploring new places. When he began dating again, he imagined sharing those adventures with someone special. But his partner didn't share that vision. She disliked travel, preferred quiet routines, and felt happiest staying close to home. Out of love, Walter began to compromise. First, he canceled a long trip. Then, he skipped visiting a lifelong friend. Before long, the dreams he had carried for years slowly disappeared. He wasn't angry at her, he was angry at himself for giving up parts of who he was. This is the quiet danger of relationships in later life. It isn't always about conflict or control. Sometimes it's about compromise that gradually narrows your world. Spontaneous decisions, like taking a road trip, sleeping in late, or spending a week in silence, no longer feel possible when every choice requires negotiation. Bit by bit, the freedom you worked for begins to shrink, and instead of living at 70 and beyond, time is precious. Every year matters more than the last. These are not years to spend giving up your dreams. They are years to embrace them. That's why many people choose to remain single. It allows you to live on your terms, to shape each day around what truly matters to you, without compromise. And here's the truth, freedom isn't selfish. It's survival. It's the chance to live fully, to say yes to what excites you and no to what drains you. At this stage of life, independence is more than choice, it is peace. And peace is priceless. Reason 7. Pressure to settle for the wrong reasons. One of the biggest challenges people face after 70 isn't just loneliness, it's the pressure to settle. Society has a way of whispering that being single at this age means you're missing something. Friends might encourage you to find someone new, family members might worry about you being alone, and deep inside, you might feel afraid of what it means to live the rest of your years by yourself. That fear can push many into saying yes when their heart quietly says no. Barbara lived this experience. At 69, she joined a senior dating site. Soon she met a man who was polite, dependable, and eager for commitment. On paper, he looked like the perfect partner. But deep down, Barbara felt no spark. He didn't share her passions, didn't make her laugh, and didn't bring her the sense of comfort she longed for. Still, she said yes, not because she wanted to, but because she didn't want to be the only one walking into dinner alone while her friends had partners beside them. 6 months later, Barbara admitted she felt more isolated in that relationship than she ever had on her own. The silence at night felt heavier when he was next to me but still couldn't reach my heart, she said. That is the danger of settling out of fear. Instead of solving loneliness, it deepens it. Instead of bringing joy, it drains your spirit. At 70 and beyond, every day is too precious to spend with someone who doesn't truly add to your life. Choosing solitude in this case is not weakness, it's strength. It means you respect yourself enough to wait for peace, not pressure. The truth is, real companionship should feel light, supportive, and freeing. If it doesn't, then it isn't worth your time. And at this stage of life, time is the most valuable thing you have. Staying single doesn't mean you are missing out. It means you are choosing dignity, self-respect, and freedom over fear. Remember this, saying no to the wrong person is a far greater victory than saying yes out of pressure. Because at 70, protecting your peace is the greatest act of love you can give yourself. We've walked through 7 powerful reasons why staying single after 70 isn't a failure. It can actually be the wisest choice you'll ever make. We've seen how emotional conflict weighs heavier now than it did before, how finances can get complicated, and how the loss of routine can quietly steal your peace. We've looked at how love can turn into caregiving, how family tensions and inheritance issues can divide what you've spent a lifetime building, and how independence can slowly disappear through compromise. Finally, we uncovered the pressure many feel to settle, not out of love, but out of fear. Take a deep breath tonight and ask yourself a simple question: what does my soul truly need right now? If the answer is stillness, simplicity, and freedom, embrace it fully. Because choosing yourself, your peace, and your independence is not selfish, it's survival. And you are not alone in that choice. Many strong, wise people your age have discovered the same truth: sometimes the best companionship you can find is within yourself. If this message spoke to you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me, which of the 7 reasons resonated with you the most? I read every single comment, and I'll reply to you personally. And don't forget to like this video, share it with a friend who might need these words today, and subscribe so you never miss the conversations we'll continue to have together. Because at the end of the day, your peace is priceless. And you deserve nothing less.